In this part of the video, we'll be talking about alcohols, which is any organic compound followed by an OH. Alcohols are really important part of organic chemistry. The OH completely changes the properties of the compound. So we will be talking in this part about common alcohols, phenols, and then finally about four polyhydric alcohols. So let's start with common alcohols. Let me start with the most simplest alcohol, which will be 1C that has four H's, H, 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 and that was supposed to be an H, but we will convert this H into OH. So this will be the very simplest alcohol available, and this one will be called methyl, since this is the methyl part, methyl alcohol, or also for short we call it methanol, or for short we call it methanol. Do you remember which alkane was that when you have the C and four H's? Methane, which is natural gas. So methane, this is methane. Remember, this is a gas, and this is very high fuel source, very high energy. This is the methane. Once we add to it the OH, this methane becomes an alcohol, and it starts to be a liquid, not gas, and it will have completely different properties as we'll see in the next slide. So the methyl alcohol, as you can see it here in this, just want you to see how it looks like. So it's actually a very clear liquid, is a colorless liquid with a strong odor. It's poisonous substance that can be absorbed through the eyes, skin, lungs, and digestive system. Overexposure of methyl alcohol or methanol can cause death. Workers may be harmed of exposure. Methanol is the primary converted to formaldehyde. And formaldehyde is also a very important organic compound, and we'll talk about it later in this in another video. And it's widely used in many areas, especially polymers. Methanol and isobutene are combined to give methyl tert-butyl ether, MTBE. I'm sure you heard about MTBE in some way or another, maybe in advertisements on TV, but MTBE is a major octane booster that is used for gasoline, MTBE. And remember when I said that when we stopped using lead for octane booster, we started using MTBE instead. This is methyl tert-butyl ether. Condensation of methanol to produce hydrocarbons and even aromatic systems is the basis of several technologies related to gas liquids. Methanol is used as a denaturant for ethanol. What does denaturant mean? Denaturant means that it is put there to make sure people cannot drink other alcoholic beverages. So ethanol is two carbons that has an alcohol group, and we'll be talking about this in the next slide. However, ethanol, people actually can drink. It's not poisonous. If you want to sell ethanol because it's a very important compound, for other purposes than drinking alcohol, you put methanol in it, and they call that as denaturant. The denaturant makes sure that if you drink it, you will not really feel well and you will be very sick, or you might even die. Methanol is used as a solvent, as an antifreeze in pipelines and windshield washer fluids. In some wastewater treatment plants, a small amount of methanol is added to wastewater to provide a carbon food source for the denitrifying bacteria. And inshallah, you will learn about this in the CIVL305, which converts nitrates to nitrogen gas to reduce the nitrification of sensitive aquifers. So that was the most simplest alcohol, C3OH. CH3OH. Next is ethanol. Ethanol is ethyl alcohol. So ethanol has one C, two C, and then OH. So it's C2H, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, H5OH. So C2H5OH, that will be your ethanol, and that comes from the alkane ethane. So ethanol is a volatile, flammable, colorless liquid with a characteristic wine-like odor and pungent taste. So ethanol is naturally produced by the fermentation of sugars by yeast or via petrochemical processes such as ethylene hydration. It is used as a chemical solvent in the synthesis of organic compounds and as a fuel source. Ethanol also can be hydrated to make ethylene, an important chemical feedstock. Where did we use ethanol a lot? Disinfection, remember? COVID. Another type of disinfectants that we also used during COVID was isopropyl alcohol. Actually, most of the disinfectants that we used were a mixture between ethanol and isopropyl alcohol by different mixing ratios. I don't know if you do remember, but at the really beginning of the pandemic, once they recalled all the disinfectants that were out there, and that was because they included a lot of methanol. And as I told you, methanol was toxic. So you don't want to have something that you keep rubbing on your skin that has a toxic compound. But ethanol and isopropyl alcohol, they are okay. So what is the isopropyl alcohol? It's a methyl group, CH3, another methyl group, CH3, that are both connected to one C, and this C has also a connection to an H, and then finally the OH group. So the isopropyl alcohol is colorless, flammable organic compound with a strong alcoholic odor. It is used in the manufacture of a wide variety of industrial and household chemicals and is a common ingredient in products such as antiseptics, disinfectants, hand sanitizer, and detergents. Well over 1 million ton is produced worldwide annually, used as solvent for coatings or for industrial processes, used for household purposes and in personal care products. It is popular in pharmaceutical application due to its low toxicity. Some isopropyl alcohol is also used as a chemical intermediate. Isopropyl alcohol may be converted to acetone. The next type of alcohol we'll be talking about is N-propyl alcohol. This is CH3, CH2, CH2, and then followed by the OH. It is a colorless liquid used as a solvent in the pharmaceutical industry, mainly for resins and cellulose esters, and sometimes as disinfectant agent. It is formed naturally in small amounts during many fermentation processes. Propanol has high octane number and is suitable for engine fuel use. So N-propyl alcohol is also called propanol for short, similar to methanol and ethanol. So what is the alkane that is the basis for propanol? Propane. So propane, which is also a gas, will give propanol, which is a liquid. Now let's look at other types of alcohols, and this is the phenols. Phenols are actually alcohol groups that are connected to a benzene ring rather than to a single chain similar to normal alcohols. So you will get your benzene ring like this. And then instead of one H, you will have an OH instead. So this makes the benzene phenol when you replace one H with OH. Phenol, surprisingly, while the benzene is liquid, the phenol is crystalline solid. See how here in this picture? This is how it looks like. However, it's volatile, so it actually can evaporate. It's mildly acidic, and it requires really careful handling because it can cause chemical burns. I've dealt myself in the lab with a lot of phenol. Phenol eats plastic. If you dissolve it in water, it just eats through the plastic. Phenol was first extracted from coal tar, but today is produced on large scale from petroleum-derived feedstocks. It is an important industrial commodity as a precursor to many materials and useful compounds, primarily used to synthesize plastics and related materials. Phenol and its chemical derivatives are essential for the production of polycarbonate, epoxies, bakelite, nylon detergent, herbicides, and so on. Orthocresol is a phenol with a methyl group also. So I don't know if you can see it here. It's really small, but you can see that the CH3 here, it replaces also another one of the hydrogen. And in the ortho position, that's just right next to the OH, it is a colorless solid that is widely used as an intermediate in the production of other chemical and obtained from petroleum residue. A large amount of supply is produced by methylation of phenol. They are skin irritants, and when inhaled, ingested, or applied to the skin at very high levels, they can be harmful. Breathing high levels of cresol for a short term results in irritation in the nose and throat. So that was the O-cresol. Next is the M-cresol, which stands for metacresol. So remember, the O was here, the M is here. So it's just the location where the methyl group becomes. Now it turns from solid into a viscous liquid. So colorless viscous liquid that is used as an intermediate in the production of other chemicals. It's a precursor of numerous compounds. Important application includes pesticides, synthetic vitamins, antiseptics, solvents, preservatives. Now, the third part, remember I told you the alcohols, we'll talk about normal alcohols, cyclic alcohols, and then, normal alcohols, and then cyclic alcohols, and then polyhydric alcohols. So in this case, we get OH in two locations, and that's why it's called polyhydric alcohol. Poly means multiple. Ethylene glycol, and I'm sure you've heard about it, is mainly used for two purposes: as raw material in the manufacture of polyester fibers and also for antifreeze. So this is what you add in your windshield solution in your car. It is an odorless, colorless, flammable, viscous liquid. Ethylene glycol has a sweet taste, but it is toxic and is produced from ethene via intermediate ethylene oxide. Another polyhydric alcohol is glycerol. Glycerol, you know that as uh, medicine, and also is what's used in the vaping device if you do vape. It is a colorless, odorless, viscous liquid that is sweet taste and non-toxic. So now it has 1, 2, 3 OH functional groups. Because it has antimicrobial and antiviral properties, it's widely used in FDA-approved wound and burn treatment. The FDA stands for the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. It's also used widely as a sweetener in the food industry and as humectant in pharmaceutical formulation. And that will take us to the next functional group in the next video, which will be So I finished with alcohol, and next will be the ethers that we will cover next.